You're watching Fox 29. This is Good Day Philadelphia.
After all the massive protests in Arizona and across the country, a state lawmaker from Pennsylvania is working to bring that same kind of crackdown in immigration to Pennsylvania. In Harrisburg just yesterday, Representative Daryl Metcalfe of Butler County in the western part of the state introduced legislation that he says gives illegal immigrants living in Pennsylvania two options: leave immediately or you go to jail. In response, State Senator Daylin Leach of Delaware and Montgomery counties proposes formally reinforcing that immigration is a federal issue and not the responsibility of Pennsylvania's law enforcement agencies. Two different ways to handle this growing problem, this hot button issue all across the country. So let's have our very first debate here on Good Day, called the Daryl Daylin debate. Joining us from Harrisburg are both of them. Thank you guys for being here. So,
good morning. Be here.
Representative Metcalfe, let's start with you. I know that we have approximately 140,000 illegal immigrants in the state of Pennsylvania, but my goodness, this is not Arizona. Why do we need an Arizona situation, an Arizona law like they have? This is Pennsylvania.
Well, we've had crime after crime committed against Pennsylvania citizens by illegal aliens. We had a triple homicide in Altoona years back. We had a young woman that was stabbed multiple times. There's been a molestation on a Greyhound bus in Pittsburgh. Crime after crime that's occurred in the state of Pennsylvania against Pennsylvania citizens by people who shouldn't be here in the first place. Upwards $700 million and more that's being spent on health care, education, incarceration for illegal aliens that shouldn't be here in the first place. Money coming out of the pockets of taxpayers, jobs that are being stolen from Pennsylvania citizens by illegal aliens here who are taking their jobs, public benefits that are being tapped into illegally. We need to protect Pennsylvania citizens from the harmful impact of the illegal alien invasion, and the way to do that is to introduce this model legislation that Arizona has introduced also. It's a legislation that's supposed to support our law enforcement and safe neighborhoods. It's the Support Our Law Enforcement and Safe Neighborhoods Act.
Okay, let's keep our answers short here, guys, or we won't have a debate. Senator Leach, you say the Fed should take care of this. Don't make it a state's issue and leave it up to states' law enforcement agencies. But the federal government seems like for over 20 years have been trying to come up with something, and they haven't. So I think states are getting frustrated.
Well, everyone wants strong law enforcement and strong immigration enforcement. The question is how you do it. I think the Arizona approach is the wrong approach. First of all, local police should not be enforcing immigration laws. They try to stop street crime. They need relationships with people in the neighborhood. And if people are worried about being investigated for immigration status, they're not going to cooperate with the local police, which is why so many police departments in Arizona oppose this law. But more troubling is the door that this opens for racial profiling. For the first time in 50 years in this country, your ethnicity and your race is a factor under the Arizona law, a legal factor to determine whether you should be investigated for immigration violation.
I've heard you say, just real quickly, let's give an example here because we've got to keep the answer short. I've heard you say that, let's say a bar fight breaks out in the state of Pennsylvania. You got Hispanic on one side and a Norwegian guy on the other. The police are going to go right to the Hispanic.
That is a straw man argument. The legislation specifically prohibits any racial or ethnic profiling in any way, shape, or form. This is profiling based on somebody breaking the law. If the law enforcement officers stop somebody and they have suspicions that that person is an illegal alien, which many times from talking to law enforcement officers, illegal aliens come right out and admit that they're here illegally. Now, in the past, we've had this catch and release program where they've called the feds and they've released the individual because the feds have told them, well, they just released them on their own recognizance. But now, with this new law, we will mirror federal law that's been in place for decades, since the 40s, with the Alien Registration Act. And if an illegal alien comes into Pennsylvania, they fail to register as they are required to do when they enter our country by federal law, then we will have a violation of state law that our law enforcement officers will be able to take the handcuffs off of themselves and put them on the illegal alien where they belong.
If I can respond, first of all, this idea that people spontaneously confess to being illegal immigrants in massive numbers, if I can respond, is just ridiculous. Number one, but Daryl doesn't explain when he says there has to be contact with law enforcement, which is true, and then the law enforcement has to suspect they're an illegal alien. The fact is, no one's ever going to suspect me of being an illegal immigrant.
That's not true.
I am Caucasian. I don't have a foreign accent. No one's going to be asking me for my immigration papers. If my name was Jose Figueroa and I had a Hispanic accent, even if I was a citizen of this country because my parents were of Hispanic origin, I will be questioned. And to argue otherwise just ignores
Leach,
the facts.
Would you be okay with if we all have papers, including a pasty white guy like me, if we all have papers and have to show them, would that satisfy you?
No, that's another problem with the law. The whole, there's the stereotype of the SS officer saying, show me your papers, is a stereotype for a reason. I go out jogging every morning. I went out jogging this morning. I don't carry my papers. Americans don't have to carry their papers everywhere they go.
That's exactly right, and they don't have to under this legislation either. This legislation does not require an American citizen to have to show or carry any papers, but by federal law already, if you're an alien living in the United States legally, you have to have your alien registration card on you. If you are here illegally, you should have registered when you came across the border. If you're violating our border and you have not registered with the federal government, you're in violation of our law. This new law, modeled after Arizona, creates a state offense that if you're here in our state, you have not registered with the federal government under federal law as you're supposed to, we create a new state offense that takes away the confusion for our law enforcement.
Daylin, I know you want
so they can put the handcuffs on the illegals.
10 seconds, Daylin.
If I can respond really very quickly, sure, everyone who's an immigrant should have their papers available. The question is, who is investigated? And the people who will be investigated are the people who the police think looks like an illegal immigrant.
No, lawbreakers will be investigated.
What does an illegal?
That's in the law. You have to.
What does an illegal immigrant look like?
Law enforcement
and that's the question we have to answer in this
cannot stop you unless you're in violation of the law or they
It's going to be as hot as Arizona itself. I think we had a very successful first Daryl Daylin debate. Let's do it again. Thank you so much, fellas.
Thank you.
I shouldn't say
Thank
fellas.
you.
Representative and Senator.